today's video, I'll go over how you can easily add some LED lights to transform your space from this to this without having to do any programming, splicing wires, soldering, or even putting any holes in your wall. So to start things out, I'll be using a couple products from Govee. The first one, which I have here, is their updated version of the M1 that supports Matter out of the box. This is a big deal for those that like to use different smart home applications. The Matter protocol has become the universal language that most smart home programs are adopting, so compatibility with what you're using and these lights should not be an issue. Now, I'll also be using a couple rolls of the original M1 that doesn't support Matter out of the box, but I do have an important update on this that I'll share at the end of the video, so make sure to stick around for that. The first thing I'll have to do is take down some of my previous projects to make room for this one, and because I'm always changing things up, I've gotten really good at making things as easy and non-destructive as possible to remove. I'll leave links in the description to the videos I made for this DIY diffuser channel, the DIY corner floor lamp, and the silicone neon tubing that's over on the left-hand side in case you're interested in checking those out. Now, you could always just put the LED strips directly on your wall, but I personally think things look so much better when you're able to diffuse the lights to achieve a perfect and evenly lit neon glow. To achieve this effect, I'll be using some diffuser channels that I came across a while ago that would be perfect for this install. So this next step is completely optional, since you could just butt two of these up against each other to make the corner turn here, but to give things a slightly more professional feel, I'll be cutting these at a 45-degree angle so that they'll line up flush with each other. I have done this many times before, and I do recommend wrapping the part that will be cut with some painter's tape. Now, you could just use a fine-tooth handsaw for this cut, but if you have the tools, you might as well use them, so I'll be using my miter saw for this step. I'll be adjusting things to a 45-degree angle and then making the cut. And hopefully it comes across on camera, but you can see that they do line up nearly perfect next to each other, which is going to allow the LED strip to travel from one wall to the next with no visible gap in light. Now, before moving on, I want to thank the sponsor of today's video, Aura. So this is me signing up for their free 14-day trial, and during this setup process, one of the many things they do is scan the internet for data brokers that have your personal information. These data brokers then make a fortune selling your information to spammers, scammers, and other entities that want to know more about you. Now, Aura was able to find 30 such instances of my personal information being in the hands of these companies. Then, with one click, Aura sends out a notice to have my information removed from their systems, which they are legally required to do when asked. Their all-in-one platform offers antivirus protection, credit monitoring, credit lock, financial transaction alerts, secure VPN, identity protection, parental controls, 24/7 US-based customer service, and much, much more. I'll leave a link in the description for you to start your own free 14-day trial, so please make sure to check them out. Thank you all so much, and now back to the video. So once you have a design in mind, it's time to start attaching the profiles to the wall. I've only had great experiences using these removable 3M sticky pads for this step, and it's pretty much the only thing that I use now when putting up channels. Now, you certainly could use the clips that the product comes with and drill things directly into your wall, but at least for me, I much prefer this option. Now, this will obviously vary depending on your layout, but here's what I had in mind. I'm going to use the original M1 that's 5 meters in length, and that's going to run directly on top of the baseboard and then make the right turn and go behind the media console. This should use up the entire 5 meters for that strip. Then I'll attach another 5 meter M1 about a foot above the first one and have it run 2 meters on either side of the wall. And for this one, I definitely could use the entire strip, but for the look I had in mind, I'm only going to use 4 of the 5 meters, so I'll be cutting off the last part. And finally, I'll be using the updated M1 that supports Matter and installing it above the second strip over here. And since the new M1 strip is 2 meters long, it should fit perfectly in one of the 2 meter length diffuser channels. Now, if you haven't done so already, you can remove the milky white diffuser top so that we can begin installing the LED strips. So before putting the lights into the channels, you want to make sure you have an idea of where you're going to plug things in and plan accordingly. For example, this part of the LED strip where the pins are sticking out is the beginning and where the controller and power will get attached, so I'm going to make sure that this will end up over here. Moving on to the next one, and this is where I'm only going to have the 4 meter length. So at the end, I'll just be cutting off the leftover section at one of the cut points, and make sure your lights are not plugged in during this step. And finally, the last long section, and this one's going to be pretty easy since it'll be using the entire 5 meters. Next, I'm going to go ahead and reattach all the diffuser covers. Now we can just start attaching the controllers and power sources to the LED strips. Now I have rarely ever gone through the extra work of feeding wires in the walls. Instead, I usually just hide visible wires using some basic cable concealers. Here I'll cut out a small notch at the top and then use some painter's tape to attach. It's not perfect, but again, unless you want to go behind the walls, it's about as good as you can get and definitely good enough for me. But let's say you don't have a media console or really anything else to help conceal things. I made a video recently on something you could do that looks better than just putting things on the open floor in a pile that you can check out if interested. So now that everything's officially set up, all we have to do is wait for nightfall to see how things turned out. Now right off the bat, I absolutely love how this looks with the different heights and staggered lengths. It completely transforms the feel of the room into something different and unique, and that's exactly what I was going for. So right now I'm going to open up the Govee app, and I already have the 3 strips connected and named bottom, middle, and top. And I know very recently there was a software update made available for the original M1s that's supposed to drastically improve the white level performance as well as adding a new DIY sound react option. And since the middle and bottom strips are both the original M1s, I'm going to first update only the bottom to see if I can really tell a difference in the accuracy of the whites. So right now I have the bottom strip on full brightness and the white slider is all the way to the right, and I'm not sure how well this will come across on camera, but without yet comparing it to the middle strip, to the naked eye, it actually looks really good. Next, I'm going to go into the non-updated middle strip and change that to white to see if we can tell a difference when comparing the two. So without a doubt, I can clearly tell there's a difference, but what do you all think? To me, the middle strip has a slight but noticeable purple tint to the white color, while the bottom strip definitely looks more accurate. I also tried moving the sliders all the way to the left for the warm white option, and at least from what I'm seeing, I really can't tell a difference between the two in this scenario. Now the next thing I want to quickly go over, since we do have 3 controllers and having to go into each one to make a change is not always what you're going to want to do. Instead, we can easily set these 3 up in a group to allow us to change all the lights at once. For this, go into the Home tab on the top left of your screen, scroll down to Groups, and then hit the plus icon. Then click Same Model Group Control, give things a name, and then add all 3 LED strips. You can now simultaneously make changes to all the lights versus having to do it one at a time. Moving on to the music updates, and Govee has always done a great job in the sound react category, but they've expanded on the functionality and have added a DIY mode. I played around with this for a little bit, and there's definitely so many ways you can tweak the animations to create something you love, which you can then save to access later, so make sure to check this out. Now as far as getting things connected with Matter, it's pretty straightforward. I'll be using my Echo Dot 5th Gen, which is one of the many devices that currently supports the protocol. First, go into your Alexa app, and then on the Devices tab, near the top right, click the plus icon. Then scroll all the way down to Other, and then choose Matter. It'll then ask you to scan the QR code, which can be found attached to the Govee controller right here. Once scanned, it'll have you connect to your home Wi-Fi, assign it to a room, and then you're good to go. Now the instructions do say to set up Matter within the first 15 minutes of turning things on for the first time, and if it doesn't connect, you'll want to reset the Govee controller by holding the power button in for 4 seconds and then hitting the button below it 4 times, which will do a factory reset and allow you to try pairing again. Now one last thing I did want to mention is that if you did purchase the original Govee M1 and now you're a little bit bummed that it doesn't support Matter, Govee said that via their website or app you'll be able to provide proof of purchase, and they'll send out a free replacement controller for the original M1 that does support Matter. And I'm not entirely sure on the exact details of the promotion or how long it'll last, but hopefully it'll be an easy process to get the upgrade sent out. So that about does it for this video, but I'll leave you with some final pictures and videos of the setup in action for those of you who'd like to see a little bit more. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, I hope you have a blessed day.
Thank you.